The Falkland Islands, a remote place in the South Atlantic Ocean, with fierce winds, rugged terrain, and unpredictable weather. Here, there are over 770 islands, ranging from barren rocks to lands that support farming and wildlife. The Falklands are located about 500 kilometers from the coast of Argentina and 1,200 kilometers from Antarctica. The two main islands, East Falkland and West Falkland, are separated by a narrow strait, and most of the population lives on these two islands. Life in the Falklands isn't easy. Outside the small town of Stanley, there are hardly any roads. Travel between villages is usually done by off-road vehicles, small aircraft, or boats. Although farming is still important, much of the Falklands' current economy relies on fishing in the surrounding waters and, of course, the tourism industry. Additionally, the British military presence contributes to the island's economy and ensures their security, especially since Argentina still claims sovereignty over this land. Interestingly, in the Falkland Islands, the number of sheep far exceeds the human population, around 130 sheep per person. With that much wool, the cold isn't really a problem for the people here. Unlike most parts of the world, when Europeans arrived in the Falklands, the islands were completely uninhabited. The first recorded sightings of the Falklands were likely made in the 16th century by Spanish, Portuguese, and English sailors. That's why, in terms of human history, the Falklands are considered a relatively fresh and new place. In the 18th century, France was the first to establish a colony in East Falkland. Just a year later, unaware of the French presence, the British settled in West Falkland. Then Spain entered the picture. It bought the French colony and soon clashed with the British. Eventually, Britain withdrew, and Spain controlled the islands until the early 1800s. When Spain pulled out, newly independent Argentina declared in 1820, "These islands are ours." But their attempt to solidify control didn't last long. In 1833, Britain returned, took over, and turned the Falklands into a remote outpost of its empire. For most of the 19th and 20th centuries, the Falklands were quiet and sparsely populated. Its people, mostly of Scottish descent, relied on sheep farming and fishing. But in 1982, things heated up again. Argentina invaded the Falklands, and the Falklands War began. Led by Margaret Thatcher, Britain sent a fleet, and after 10 weeks of fierce fighting, the islands were back under British control. Since then, these small islands have remained at the center of one of the world's oldest territorial disputes. The Falklands War had lasting effects. It not only reshaped the relationship between Britain and Argentina, but also strengthened the British identity of the islanders and deepened their commitment to self-governance. Since the war, the islands have seen significant economic and infrastructural development. The discovery of rich fishing grounds and potential oil reserves in surrounding waters has boosted the island's wealth. In a 2013 referendum, the vast majority of Falklanders voted to remain a British overseas territory. That vote clearly showed the islanders' desire to maintain the current status, despite Argentina's ongoing claims. The Falkland Islands government prioritizes attracting workers with essential skills for the local economy. Jobs in agriculture, fishing, construction, and public services are in high demand, but to move here, you must first secure employment. However, even with a job offer, residency isn't guaranteed. Employers must prove that no local worker can fill the position. You might think that a small population would welcome more people, but the reality is more complex. The island's harsh geography and challenging weather conditions make the situation delicate. Infrastructure and resources are limited, and the government wants population growth to be sustainable and manageable. Between 1990 and 2000, the island's population grew by more than 50%. With limited resources, this boom led to strain on healthcare, housing, and transportation. To preserve its British identity and avoid outside influence, the local government also restricts immigration, especially given the ongoing political dispute with Argentina, which continues to claim sovereignty over the islands.